There is always some truth in the most mysterious and terrifying stories out there, and the best of these stories leave you with the chills. Even for people who love spooky stuff, there are still some genuinely bizarre occurrences that give them the creeps. Welcome back to Elusive Enigmas. In this video, we're diving into the unknown as we explore the top 10 most mysterious disappearances in history. From unexplained disappearances of explorers to enigmatic vanishing acts of ordinary people, these cases continue to captivate our imagination. So, grab your detective hats because things are about to get mysterious. Number 10. The Mary Celeste Crew. The Mary Celeste set sail on November 5, 1872, bound for Genoa from the New York harbor. On board the ship was a cargo of industrial ethanol. Almost a month later, David Morehouse was sailing his ship when he and his crew spotted the Mary Celeste drifting about 400 miles east of the Azores. Morehouse claimed he had noticed something rather strange about the way the ship was sailing. The captain sent his chief mate and several other of his crew members to investigate the ship. When they arrived aboard Mary Celeste, they found no single soul on board, yet the vessel was under full sail. The lifeboat was not there, but a 6-month food supply was still intact. There was not even the tiniest sign of a struggle, and the cargo was untouched. Morehouse's crew sailed the deserted ship to Gibraltar. Investigators generated several theories as to how the crew of the vessel had disappeared. Some of these theories involved giant squid, ghosts, and pirates, while others were settled on Morehouse when he claimed the ship's salvage rights. Number 9. Frederick Valentich. The mysterious disappearance of an Australian pilot. Frederick Valentich has baffled investigators and UFO enthusiasts for decades. On October 21, 1978, Valentich reported a strange aircraft above him during a flight. However, air traffic control responded that there were no aircraft in his area. Valentich was a UFO enthusiast and believed it was an alien spacecraft. Moments later, air traffic control lost contact with Valentich and never heard back from him again. UFO enthusiasts believe an alien spaceship abducted Valentich. However, investigators believe Valentich became disoriented and saw his reflection in the ocean before crashing. Number 8. Antoinette Cayedito. On April 6, 1986, a 9-year-old Native American girl, Antoinette Cayedito, vanished from her home in New Mexico. 5 years later, Antoinette's then 10-year-old sister Wendy finally revealed the events of that night. According to Wendy, the sisters were awake at 3 a.m. when somebody knocked on their door, claiming to be Uncle Joe. When Antoinette opened the door, 2 men grabbed her. 1 year later, a panicked young girl called the police department claiming to be Antoinette, but an unknown adult ended the call before she could reveal her location. 4 years later, a waitress believes she met a teenage girl matching Antoinette's description. She was with a messy-looking couple and left behind a note asking the waitress to call the police. Police assume Antoinette was a victim of a homicide, but the case remains open. Number 7. Angela Hammond. On April 4, 1991, Angela Hammond vanished while talking with her boyfriend from a Clinton, Missouri payphone. The boyfriend, Rob Schaffer, recalls that Angela had described to him a suspicious man circling the neighborhood in a green pickup truck. He then stopped near the payphone, and since then, the 20-year-old girl disappeared. Schaffer told the police that he quickly jumped into his car and drove to where Angela was. As he was heading there, the green pickup drove past him. He slammed the car into reverse gear and blew its transmission. Schaffer helplessly watched as the abductor took his girlfriend away. The police initially suspected Schaffer, but they soon cleared him due to witnesses and his alibi. What makes this case rather creepy is that it could be linked to 2 other Missouri disappearances earlier that year. Angela Hammond has never been found. Detectives categorized the case as a random crime since she was not doing anything wrong or suspicious. Her abductor just happened to spot her talking to her boyfriend. Why the police were not able to find the conspicuous green truck with a big decal on the window is still a mystery. Number 6. Emanuela Orlandi. The disappearance of 15-year-old Emanuela Orlandi is one of Italy's greatest mysteries. She's been missing for roughly 39 years now. The last time anyone heard from her was on June 22, 1983. Emanuela and her family lived in Vatican City at the time of her disappearance. She was late for music school and was last spotted hopping on a bus. Later, Emanuela called to tell her sister that she had a job interview. Emanuela's sister was the last person to hear from her. Several theories emerged, including that she was the victim of a Vatican sex party scandal. Other theories suggest Emanuela was murdered by the Banda della Magliana gang, or abducted by the far-right organization Grey Wolves. Number 5. Amelia Earhart. Perhaps the most famous disappearance in history, Amelia Earhart vanished from the face of the earth on July 2, 1937. Earhart was already a legend as the first female to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. She and navigator Fred Noonan had embarked on a mission to complete the first flight around the world. To date, explorers and historians are still trying to solve their vexing disappearance. The pioneering pilot and her navigator had set off for Howland Island, a remote island in the Pacific Ocean from Lae in New Guinea. Earhart and Noonan vanished somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. A search and rescue team searched for the two for over 2 weeks. No remains or clues to their disappearance ever emerged. 2 years later, a court order officially declared the two dead. Her disappearance has sparked many conspiracy theories, thus becoming a topic of debate. Number 4. The Sodder Children. The disappearance of the 5 Sodder children is by far the eeriest case on this list. 5 out of 10 siblings disappeared under unclear circumstances from their home on a Christmas Eve night. Rather than head off to bed, the 5 kids asked their parents if they could stay up and play with their toys. The parents agreed and went to bed. Then a strange series of events began. The phone rang, and when the kid's mother answered, the voice on the other end asked for someone unknown to the mother. When she said she didn't know the person in question, the voice laughed and immediately hung up. As she heads back to bed, she noticed that someone had drawn up all the shades and unlocked all the doors, and the lights were on. The family was later woken up by sound on the roof, only to realize that the house was in flames. Luckily, the parents and 5 of their children managed to escape the inferno. None of the kids that had asked to stay up were in sight. The Sodders never stopped believing that their children were still alive, even when the official conclusion was that they had succumbed to the inferno. This sliver of hope was backed by a photo of one of their sons as a grown adult, mailed anonymously in the 60s. Number 3. D.B. Cooper. The identity of D.B. Cooper and his whereabouts have puzzled the police, private investigators, and curious minds for decades. In 1971, a man using the alias Dan Cooper hijacked Flight 305 and collected a ransom of $200,000. He then parachuted out of the plane and disappeared into the night sky. The event became a media sensation, with journos dubbing him D.B. Cooper. There have been several leads and suspects, but nothing conclusive. The police recovered some ransom money in the 80s, but the information went nowhere. The fate of D.B. Cooper and his identity remains one of the universe's greatest unsolved disappearances. Number 2. Cherry Mahan. In 1985, 8-year-old Cherry Mahan exited the school bus near her house. Cherry had to walk 50 feet from the bus stop to her driveway. Sadly, something happened along the way, and Cherry never made it home. Cherry's disappearance became a huge news story. She was the first missing child featured on a postcard. Cherry's mother admitted that she became pregnant with Cherry after being raped. Her mother believes Cherry's biological father or someone he knows had something to do with Cherry's disappearance. There have been many tips and leads, but Cherry's case remains unsolved. Number 1. Virginia Dare and the Roanoke Colony. In 1587, Governor John Smith left the colony he established, Roanoke, to return to England. He planned to get new supplies and return to the New World colony with his daughter and his granddaughter, Virginia Dare, who was the first European child born in America. In 1590, Smith returned to Roanoke to find the colony deserted. The settlement was in shambles, and there was no trace of Virginia, her mother, or anyone else. For over 400 years, Virginia's disappearance baffled people around the globe. Some theories propose a local tribe attacked the colony or the colonists joined a local tribe.